Hi, this is Brett Ridgway, and I'm here with my good friend,
Brian Hain.
and we're co-authors of the new book, Mistakes Authors Make, along with our good friend Rick Frischman. And one of the things that I think people forget to even ask themselves up front, Brian, when they're thinking about writing a book is, should I write a book even? Because there's a concept in the world of information marketing in which books are a big part, and that concept is called perceived value. And let me dig into this a little bit so you understand what we're talking about here. But when you go to a typical bookstore and you pick up a book off the shelf, how much do you expect to pay for that book?
$15, $20?
Yep, because that's what we've been trained our whole life a book is worth. But do you know that you can take the exact same content, just package it a little bit differently. Let's say you put it into 8.5 by 11 pages, put it into a 3-ring binder. Now instead of a $15 to $20 value, it has a perceived value of $30, $50, $90, $100, all because it's just packaged differently. So maybe there are different ways that you can get your message out to your audience besides a book that will enable you, I should say, to sell that at a higher price. I mean, besides books and home study courses, maybe you want to do an audio version of it. Maybe you want to do a video version of it. I mean, there's lots of different ways to put out your content, and writing a book is just one of them.
Well, and actually, you'll probably want to end up doing a lot of these different ways. And I know we've mentioned in some of our other videos how having a book, you're not looking to make your money off the book. You really should be looking at making your money off of the back end of the book. Well, what we're talking about now is the different ways to form that back end. So you've got all this knowledge, you're a subject matter expert, you've got this expertise of some sort. You're like, I want to write a book, and you should, because that can establish you as an authority, and can actually help you build your platform. But you need to remember that the book's not where it ends. The book is just barely scratching the surface of the beginning of your journey. And all the other things that you can do, whether it be a DVD program, whether it be an online course, whether it be whatever it may be, is really going to be where your money's made. So you need to know what those are going to be up front, because you need to be able to promote those and offer those and talk about those and guide people in your book into then wanting all of these higher perceived value items.
We actually talked, Brian, in a separate video about how you can repurpose existing content like articles and blog posts into a book. But there's opposite ways to repurpose that, and that's to take your book and put it out there in different formats that address the different learning modalities that people have. Because you can remember, not everybody's a reader. Some people prefer to consume their information by listening, audio. Other people are video people that rather watch. And then other people are kinesthetic learners. They want to participate and be involved. So typically the more ways that you can put your information out there, in addition to the book format, the wider audience you're going to be able to draw into your platform and build a bigger message.
And I might point out here that the more different methods that you include in a given product, the higher the perceived value. So if you suddenly say, well, I'm going to do a course and it's going to have a couple 3-ring binders, it's going to have 8 different DVDs, or 8 hours of video I should say, because they may not be DVDs, they can be any number of ways. I'm going to have another 15 hours of audio. Boom, you're starting to add value right here. And so suddenly that may be a value of $297, $497. I've seen them all the way up to $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. So that's what you want to think about, and you want to have all these different price points that people can buy, because they're looking for different ways of buying it, plus they're looking for having a different level of a relationship with you.
Yes, certainly content is the crux of your thing here, and the book is one way you want to put the content out there, but there are a lot of other ways, and you need to understand this concept of perceived value, because it can dramatically impact your back-end profits on your business. So that will do it for this week's episode of A Book Marketing Minute. Where can people go find more about us, Brian?
Sure, if you'd like to follow us on Facebook, just go to facebook.com/mistakesauthors make, or you're already watching one of our YouTube videos, so you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, although I guess you may not be on YouTube, because these do get around quite a bit. Or you can actually come straight to our website, mistakesauthors.make.com, and feel free to buy our book.
Everyone, thanks for joining us. Have a great week. Beware the multiple project trap.
Project or product?
Project. I mean, same thing.
Just talking about having too many irons in the fire at one time?
Yep.
Dividing your focus.
Yep.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we know nothing about that.
Yeah, we don't master
Yeah,
that.
we never fall into that trap.
Hi, this is Brett Ridgway, and I'm here with my good friend,
Brian Hain.
and we're co-authors of the new book, Mistakes Authors Make, along with our good friend Rick Frischman. And this is your book marketing minute. Now, one of the things I think people fail to grasp is they're writing the book, and let's say you're writing the book and it's going to take you, Brian, if you really focus your efforts from start to finish, 2 months to get that book written.
Okay.
I mean, it really takes concentrated effort. But at the same time, maybe you're develop another product. You're trying to record an audio product with somebody that's going to take 2 months from start to finish. And then you got a project C that you're working on. Maybe you're trying to put up a new membership site or whatever. So you got projects A, B, and C, and each of them, if you focus your efforts, you could get done in 2 months. Well, what most people do, Brian, is they work a little bit on their book, then they jump over to project B and they're going to work on that audio product for a little while. Then they jump over to the membership site. Then it's back to the book. Then here, then there, then here, then there. And before you know it, you're 6 months down the road and you have nothing completed. Your book's not done. Your audio product's not done. Your membership site's not up. All because you jump from project to project to project continuously. And if you need to generate revenue, then you need to focus your efforts and get that book done, or that audio product done, or that membership site up, because you can have all the great knowledge and content you want to share with the world, but if you never finish your project because you got the multiple project trap that sucked you in, then you're not going to make any money at all. I mean, we've been there. We know this thing.
Oh, quite well. And you mentioned 3 different projects that you could be working on that are all product creation, but it could also be projects such as maybe you're wanting to create a whole video series to promote your book. Maybe you're doing different marketing projects. The trick is really limiting how many different projects you're working on at one time so that you can actually get them done. And that's a hard one to tell you what the right answer is there. I can tell you this, when Brett and I actually work on something, what we typically do is we choose one overarching project to work on at a time. Maybe that was writing the book Mistakes Authors Make, for instance. Well, we worked on that, one or both of us, depending upon who was working on what phase, and that was all we really worked on main project-wise. Now obviously we've still got other day-to-day stuff that we may need to get done, working with clients, doing other ongoing marketing processes that we already have set up, but as far as taking on a new project, we just work on one at a time. So for instance, Brett was working on the book and I was working on a membership site for us at the same time. And we would seek input from each other all along, but we really each had just a primary focus. And then when we finished both of those, we then went on to, okay, actually our next thing was working on a launch and then working on a marketing plan for implementing and rolling out the marketing of one of those products. Because not only do people fall into the trap of working on too many projects at one time, but they also forget that creating the product is just the beginning. Mm-hmm. Marketing it is where you're really going to spend effort. If you spent 2 months creating your product, you need to plan on 12 months marketing your product.
Yeah, there's a phrase I like to use, Brian, called prioritize to maximize. And you've really got to decide what your low-hanging fruit is in many cases and what's your shortest path to revenue. Because sometimes you need that revenue to fund those other efforts. And there's another thing that people got to remember, Brian, and that's you hear about the shiny object syndrome all the time. Pretty soon those projects A, B, and C become projects A, B, C, D, E, and F because you've always got other things coming into your vision that capture your attention and you say, maybe I can make money at that. Or maybe I can make money at that. Or maybe I should do this. And instead of jumping from 3 things around, now it's 6 or 7 different things you're jumping between. So prioritize to maximize to truly get that book done and out in the market. So, I mean, this is just one of the things that we talk about in this ongoing series of videos under Mistakes Authors Make. But where can people find out more about us, Brian?
Sure. Why don't you go to facebook.com/mistakesauthors_make and like our page where you can see all kinds of other stuff that we're working on. Or you can you're probably watching us on YouTube, although it could be any number of places you're watching this video, but we have a YouTube channel you're welcome to subscribe to. And then you can also come to mistakesauthorsmake.com and buy our book. We'd love to work with you, and we'd love for you to learn all the different mistakes that people make when they're actually working on a book and how you can avoid them.
Well, that will do it for this episode of A Book Marketing Minute from Mistakes Authors Make. Brian, Rick, and I thank you for joining us. Everyone, have a great week.
I think we should stop saying have a great week because we're not saying these are going to come out. Well,
I mean, that's timeless. I mean, that's
true. Because
I'm not mentioning a specific holiday or anything.
Yeah, true.
All right, the next one I have down is overproducing on an initial launch to lower per unit costs.
Yeah, okay, well, that's just a business one.
Okay.
This will be our last one for now, and then we'll stop and start it again.
Okay. Hi, this is Brett Ridgway here with my good friend,
Brian Hain.
and we are co-authors of the new book, Mistakes Authors Make, along with our good friend, Rick Frischman. Now, one of the things I see people do as an author, Brian, is they get hung up on, when they're looking to have their book printed, the printing cost of the book. And they order 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000 copies of the book, all because it's going to save them $1 or $2 per copy. My opinion is this, it's nuts. You're far better off getting your marketing processes working and knowing you can sell that book, and then once you've got those things working properly, then you can order a higher volume of your book to lower that per... Let's start the top again.
Okay.
Hi, this is Brett Ridgway, and I'm here with my good friend,
Brian Hain.
and we're co-authors of the new book, Mistakes Authors Make, along with our good friend Rick Frischman. Now, Brian, one of the things that I see people do all the time as an author is they get so hung up on the printing cost of their book that they order 5,000 or 10,000 or 2,500 copies of their book right up front because they're going to sell them to everybody, and they get that book price down an extra $1 or so in their printing cost because they order such a massive quantity. And then those books sit in their garage or in the fulfillment warehouse month after month after month, never moving anywhere. I mean, we have a client who developed a wonderful cookbook a few years ago. Had like 5,000 copies printed up, shipped them to us. I think we shipped out, 2 books in 3 years or something like that. I mean, so just because the printing costs were a little bit lower, a massive quantity was ordered, and they sit month after month after month. Now this is just nuts.
I know, and I wish I could say that that was a unique story, but sadly we could actually grab the camera, walk out into our warehouse and show you rack upon rack of people paying us storage fees each and every month to house their books, which I guess is maybe better for them than housing it in their garage, which is where most people will end up doing it. But one of the things you need to look at is, and this is, we're getting a little technical here, and we're going to get into the financial side of stuff a little bit, and that is, what is the cost of holding inventory? And I don't want to get too technical, but what you need to look at is if it's going to cost you, and I'm going to throw out fictitious numbers here because I don't know the size of your book or black and white or color or anything like that, but we're going to say if you bought 5,000 copies of your book, let's say it cost you $2 a book to do it. You're going to spend $10,000 up front plus shipping to buy those books. Versus, let's say you were going to buy 250 copies of your book. And let's say that 250 copies was going to cost you $6 a book. And maybe it would cost that, maybe a little less, but we'll go with that for right now. Okay. So $6 times 250 copies is going to be
$1,500.
$1,500. So currently we're now spending $8,500 less up front, but you only have 250 copies. But that $8,500 you can actually use to market your book, to sell your book. And you may spend that $8,500 and realize, oh crap, I can't even sell 250 copies. Well, okay, then there's either a problem with your marketing or
thank God you didn't spend the $10,000 up front to get 1,000 copies printed or whatever.
Right, because you would have still had to spend money marketing them and you would have been out more. The point here though is that you really want to look at how much you're spending up front, and don't worry about that initial unit cost, because let me tell you, it's a lot cheaper for you to then realize that you've hit it out of the ballpark and to print more books and explain to clients that, oh, we ran out of our first printing, we've sold out, we need to do a second printing, and that will make them even feel better than for you to sit here and have to send us 10,000 copies of your book to store forever, or worse, for you to store them in your garage and your spouse to be constantly reminding you of why did you spend all that money on those books that aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, it's far more important that you get your marketing channels really working and know that you can move that book before you order massive quantities of the book. Don't get hung up on the per unit cost. That's not the important thing. The important thing is to get your marketing working, and then once you have that in place, then you can order higher quantities of your book because you know that you can move them.
Yeah. I want to throw one final word of caution there, and that is you need to remember as you're doing these marketing channels, if you've got one that's working, you need to see that it works for a little bit of time. You need to make sure that it's not a blip because it was a Christmas special or a New Year special, like diet books, for instance, always sell well at the beginning of the year.
Or you had a friend who had a massive list, he did a mailing for you that sold a bunch of books, but that's, you know, that's a one and done thing.
Right. So make sure that your marketing channels are going to survive, that you're actually got things in place that will keep those sales continuing before you do the big orders. Otherwise, just keep with the small ones. And if you'd like to find out more, you can actually follow us on social media. You can go to facebook.com, for instance, facebook.com/mistakesauthors-make, and you can like our page and see what else we're up to. You're already watching us on YouTube probably, although I guess these videos do get around, so maybe somewhere else, but you can certainly subscribe to our YouTube channel, or you can just come to our website, mistakesauthors-make.com, and buy our book.
So everyone, thank you for joining us, and best of success to you.
Okay, next. So, while you look what's next, I'm going to stop and start.